So the America First Committee was a pressure group that started in 1940 to advocate for the United States to stay out of the war. Started out as a student organization at Yale, quickly expanded to a larger organization for the general public. It moves to the Midwest, becomes kind of associated with conservative business interests in the Midwest. And Roosevelt, as far as I can tell, and as far as most historians have gleaned, he sincerely thought that they were a front group for the Bund or Nazi Germany. So the FBI is tasked to surveil them. They gather derogatory information, issue that to friendly senators like Claude Pepper from Florida was a particularly staunch interventionist and took great interest in the FBI's information gathering, and they also took tips from the general public. And so one of the more disturbing things for me was reading those letters. Again, they're all on archive.org. You can read them yourself, and people sincerely, it was like they were almost LARPing, right? Like they're part of this. It was like kind of a snitch culture, right? And some of them, some of them in their writings, they really aired some truly disturbing thoughts, right? They fantasized about America Firsters in concentration camps or executing them.
I recall the phrase "put them up against the wall."
Well, yeah. Well, the Japanese Americans aside, thankfully it didn't come to that for the general public, and it makes you wonder, right? Like, had those people been born in Germany, right? What would their life would have looked like?
Yeah.
So to see the state provide the incentives to the public, and then there's this feedback loop, right? Because in none of the responses to these people does the FBI say, well, maybe not, right? Like it's always there's like a pat on the head, right? There's a sort of reinforcement for it. So historians who have studied this have argued, and I tend to agree, that this creates a brown scare, right? Fear of fascism, and that and that FDR knowingly, or maybe at least tacitly, gin this up in the American public to universalize the fear of fascism overseas.
So anything in defense of democracy because there's a fascist under every bed.
Sounds familiar. Familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does sort of sound familiar. What's fascinating about this to me is that it sort of sheds, and I didn't know this history at the time, but it sheds a different frame to think about Russiagate and something like that.
Yeah.